Welcome back to the blog, and thanks for tuning back in this week. And this week was a pretty crazy time in our country. And if you were on Facebook or any social media or watching the news for any time at all, you have seen that right now as a country, we're pretty scared. And it doesn't matter what side of the political aisle that you happen to find yourself on, it's a very uncertain time. It's a time when fear is running pretty rampant in our culture, in our society. And it's unfortunate because I think fear is one of the most debilitating things that we experience as human beings. When we're afraid, we live life so far below what God has called us to and designed us for. And so I'm really passionate about helping people figure out how to live in the midst of fear. And I love the quote by Nelson Mandela, who said this: "I learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. The brave man is not the one who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers that fear." See, I think so much, guys, in our life, we're waiting to do something, to take a great risk, to choose to love, to forgive, to try something new, to learn something new, because we're waiting for fear to go away. When I'm no longer afraid, then I'll make a move. But the reality about life, what Nelson Mandela said, what I've learned in my life, is that strength and courage are not the absence of fear and challenge. If we're waiting for fears to completely subside, if we're waiting for an environment to be to no longer have challenge, we're going to wait to die and do very little with our life. And in fact, if you think about it, the stories that inspire the kind of life that I think you would dream to live, they're not a life lived in the absence of challenge or in the absence of uncertainty. I think if you think about it, what's in the depth of your heart, the kind of person that you want to become, the kind of kids you want to raise, are people that understand that strength and courage are not the absence of fear and challenge, but strength and courage are actually the presence of confidence and faith. But the question then comes down to, if we're looking for faith to overcome fear, what are we putting our faith in, and is it trustworthy? And I think in our life, we put our faith in our friends. Like, I've got confidence that my friends will be there for me. I put confidence in my family, that they'll come through and be loyal and be with me in tough times. And oftentimes I put faith and confidence in myself, that I can be dependent upon. But the longer I live, here's what I discover, is my friends let me down, my family disappoints me, and all too often I fail myself when I most need myself to be my best self, right? And maybe you could identify with that same thing. And when I fail myself, when my friends and my family do, I feel alone. And what I've discovered in life, and maybe you have too, is that the fear is really an emotion that assumes we're alone in life. When others have failed us and we feel alone, we feel afraid. And so in that case, to keep us from getting stuck in life and keep us from living a life so far below what we've been called to or created for, we need to find a way to find something that is trustworthy enough for our faith and our confidence to fend off that fear. And what I found is this: I found that I need something larger than myself, something more transcendent to place my confidence. Because strength and courage, right, are the presence of faith and confidence in a God who has promised to never leave us or forsake us. I love this passage of scripture in Hebrews 13, verses 5 and 6. It says this: "For God has said, I will never leave you. I will never fail you. I will never abandon you." So we can say with confidence, "The Lord is my helper, so I will have no fear. What can people do to me?" I love that passage and so many other scriptures that say that God is promising to never leave us, or forsake us, abandon us, to never fail us. And when we can tie into that type of relationship, what it brings us to is to understand that we're never alone. And when we're never alone, we have a God, we have a friend, we have a companion that is able to be with us in the darkest of times, in the most difficult challenges, and we understand that we are not alone, so we need not fear, and that strength and confidence can be a constant companion in our life. This is something I know that Nelson Mandela understood. It's something that I'm kind of coming to understand. And if you're interested in living a life of strength and courage, I would encourage you to investigate this truth as well. You don't have to be alone in life. You don't have to be afraid. Have a great week.